This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by T-Mobile.
Now let's pivot, if we will, speaking of justice, and talk a little bit about Fox News, about News Corp, the parent corporation, about Rupert Murdoch, and about the interesting turn that life has taken even since I was here on Monday. We have a little clip to show, just to give you a little bit of background. As you remember, we talked about this on Monday, and I'm sure you've been following it. News Corp employees, Rupert Murdoch employees, were wiretapping and listening in on cell phones of the royal family. Frankly, I think that would be a boring job, but they were doing it. And a parliament member, guest members of parliament, all sorts of people, celebrities of all kinds, certainly. And the story was kind of kicking around for a while. All of a sudden, it came out that they had done a very cruel thing in eavesdropping on the cell phone of a missing girl who turned out to be murdered. And when her messages filled up, they deleted them because they wanted to eavesdrop on more messages, which led the girl's parents to think she might still be alive, which was extraordinarily cruel. And that created the outrage that should have been there all along. Long story short, two of his senior editors have been arrested, including a former press secretary for the Prime Minister, which I'm sure made a lot of poor reporters at the White House jealous of their British counterparts. And so the scandal's getting bigger and bigger. Rupert Murdoch went to Parliament to testify before a committee, and there have been a little bit of a development on this side of the pond, too. Let's go to the clip.
Rumbles of discontent in Washington about whether news of the world-style phone hacking has been happening here are getting louder. A number of leading senators are calling for a probe into possible News Corporation misconduct, especially allegations in one British newspaper that Rupert Murdoch's journalists tried to bribe a policeman for the contact information of victims of the September the 11th attacks.
The concept that somebody would have been trying to violate their privacy after they were dead by trying to hack into their voicemails is going to be outrageous and grotesque to all Americans.
In the US, the main Murdoch properties include the venerable Wall Street Journal, the tabloid New York Post, and the right-wing Fox News channel.
News on News Corp today.
Covering this scandal has proved a challenge for Fox, especially on the day News Corp pulled out of plans to buy all of Britain's main satellite TV provider, B-Sky B.
This doesn't mean, Patty Ann, that News Corp won't revisit the plan sometime down the road, but for now it's been scrapped.
While Murdoch doesn't wield as much direct political influence in the US as in Britain, where politicians fear his media power and know that his support increases their chances of getting elected, US politicians of both parties seem hesitant to speak out, knowing that the Murdoch press has a long memory. On the left,
are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not familiar with that. But on the first
and on the right, where politicians regularly reference the September the 11th attacks when appearing on the Republican-supporting Fox News channel.
I'm just starting to watch that scandal on phone hacking evolve, and I don't know enough about it.
But campaign groups think if Murdoch's journalists are caught cheating, the price he will pay in America could be enormous.
The full weight of the American political establishment will come down on Mr. Murdoch if that turns out to be true.
The feeling is while politicians don't see eye to eye on much on Capitol Hill these days, they will agree any alleged efforts to hack the phones of the victims of the 9/11 attacks merits a thorough public hearing. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Yes, they do regularly reference the September 11th attacks. As Joe Biden said, for Rudy Giuliani, a sentence consists of a noun, a verb, and 9/11. So, of course, they reference the attacks, and nowhere more so than on Fox News, where they routinely work themselves up into a frenzy of self-righteous rage over the notion that we wouldn't be willing to suspend all of our civil liberties, starting, of course, and most especially with Muslims, because of what happened at 9/11. And now it turns out that maybe their own company has done more to desecrate the victims of 9/11 than anything anybody could do. So while they've been whipping up anger over that proposed Muslim community center near 9/11, turns out that they haven't been honoring the victims of the fallen very much at least as far as these reports would suggest. And if it weren't true, I would think Fox News would be the first ones calling for an immediate investigation to exonerate their organization and their parent corporation from any suggestion that they would desecrate the memory of 9/11 by doing such a thing.
T-Mobile's great selection of tablets, laptop sticks, and their new mobile hotspot allows you to stay connected to the internet on the go. Affordable high-speed internet when and where you want it, without the overages. Mobile broadband data plans start as low as $29.99 a month, and current T-Mobile voice customers save an additional 20%. Create your own personal hotspot on the go with T-Mobile 4G mobile hotspot. Get high-speed internet on up to 5 Wi-Fi devices, laptops, tablets, music players, gaming devices, and more. 4G capable with speeds up to 21 megabits. With the mobile hotspot from T-Mobile, you can share the power of America's largest 4G network. With devices like this, you can use T-Mobile's high-speed internet on the go.